I first heard the song, and my first reaction was like, oh god, I don't like this. Because I think that the vocalist of the band Milktub just has a very...
Milktub.
I know, right? He just has a very, what I would call, like, indie or grunge voice. Like, it's very stylized.
I can get that.
But to me, it's almost stylized in a way that's, like, intentionally not supposed to sound, like, very mainstream appealing to your ears. You know, he's just very gruff. And sometimes it sounds like he flatlines notes on purpose, like, nah, no, ah! Hello there, everyone. What's up? Welcome back to The Box, the Annie Chat Box, where we good friends snuggle up in a teeny tiny space to talk about all things anime. My name is Cami, joining you as your host for episode 150, and thankfully I have my partner in crime in this special two-person episode, and that is the man of many voices, Gregory von Maximus III, twice removed. What's up, Craig?
The dynamic duo has reassembled. We have fought the system in the cycle past. Now we're going to look at some really easygoing Tanukis in Kyoto, Japan today. I'm cool. The day has been flying by, but I'm glad to be here talking anime once again with you, because I always like these episodes. More Cami time is always a good time in my mind's eye.
Yes, we don't spend nearly enough time hanging out just one-on-one, so I enjoy it too.
Right.
And as we know, we have good talks ranging from humorous memes and sayings like cow flea, green tea.
Oh, cow. I had...
all the way to philosophical shit, so this will be fun.
I had Starbucks the other day, and I forgot to send you a photo of my Frappuccino. I have failed you. I will remember this for next time.
Well, it's okay. You know what it is. It's just a manifestation of your idiot blood.
Damn.
So, with that said, today we are here to talk to you about a show that I picked for review called The Eccentric Family, or Uchouten Kazoku. Uchouten Kazoku was animated by Studio PA Works in the summer of 2013. You probably recognize PA Works. Some other things they've done include Shirobako, Hanasaku Iroha, and Iroduku, A World in Colors. All right, this synopsis is a mouthful, so just be patient with me as I go into it. Kyoto has been populated by groups of tanuki and tengu for years, living alongside humans who are oblivious to the existence of these creatures. Yasaburo Shimogamo is the third son of an influential tanuki family who spends his carefree days taking care of an old tengu, observing humans through his ability to shapeshift, and dealing with the mysterious woman named Benten. Behind the peace and tranquility, however, is a painful memory from long ago, as Yasaburo's father, head of the tanuki community, was killed and eaten by a group of humans known as the Friday Fellows. Uchouten Kazoku, or the Eccentric Family, follows the trials and tribulations of the Shimogamo brothers as they struggle to avoid their own grisly demise while coming ever closer to unraveling the truth behind their father's death. So,
dun, dun,
this
dun.
is such a... Yep. I'm just gonna say right now, I didn't actually read the Mal synopsis for this show when I watched the first episode.
Okay.
And I had no fucking clue what the show was based off of the first episode. I was very confused and didn't really understand anything. I think that this show, story-wise, is the definition of just dropping you into the world, into the setting, into the characters, and just leaving you abandoned. Like worse than Shirobako, in my personal opinion. Because I know that, when we watched Shirobako, Craig, you mentioned that feeling, and Cassie also mentioned having that feeling.
Yeah.
Had you read the synopsis before you started watching, or did you just go in blind like I did?
So, what is it? When Cass asked me to be on this episode, I basically was like, I have never heard of it, but it sounds like a Cami-ass pick, because you typically go for the cult classics, or like the things that are oddballs in their own rights, right?
Yeah,
because I'm just
it's
like,
true.
I never heard of this. I never knew it was PA Works. I also, when we get to the production section, like, I actually did not know that this original novel was penned by the same guy that did Night a Short Walk On Girl, Pang on a Highway, and Tatami Galaxy. So,
Yep.
Cass got a few episodes in before, like, saying that she was sidetracked with life and stuff like that, but she's like, this is like Kiyosagiga in terms of, like, it just kind of throws you in, and you're just dealing with a kind of an analog to that. It's like, yo, it's a bunch of families. I was able to kind of keep pace with it a little bit easier. A little easier, I would say, but I will definitely agree that it just kind of does throw you right into this kid's life, and it's just like, okay, here's the world state. Also, all of his brothers also have names that start with Y's. Yaijiro, Yaichiro, Yaishiro. And I'm like, oh my god, ya. Soichiro, their father, apparently just decided to fucking name everyone the same, and I'm like, okay, cool. This doesn't make it any more confusing.
Easier.
I was like, because in episode 1, you see Yasaburo fucking wandering around Kyoto, and then Yaichiro, the eldest brother, shows up, and I'm like, oh, is that motherfucker a Tengu? And Cass is like, no, that's his older brother. I'm like, you could have fooled me! Where's the, like, the Tengu, apparently, according to the synopsis, as he said, Tengus exist in this world. I'm like, I guess we see a few of them, but we see more Tanukis than Tengu, I guess, but yeah.
Well, and then you think, oh, sorry, go ahead, finish your point.
No, I was just gonna say, it like you said, it does throw you right in, and to that, I honestly was kind of rolled with the chaos. I will say I kind of came out on the other side, enjoying aspects of the show, not enjoying other aspects. It is an interesting look at grief and family dynamics after loss and whatnot. So that's what I took out of it.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand that, and I think that both you and Cassie brought up a lot of good points. Episode 1 and probably 2 for me, I was definitely feeling the Kyoso Giga vibes, for better or for worse. I think that, and one of my biggest things with the writing of this show is that I do think you can watch it without this knowledge, but I think this show really benefits if you know a lot about, like, yokai and Japanese folklore and Japanese culture.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, just there were so many names that, like, that just went over my head. Like, there's a point where Yasaburo makes, like, a archery shot, and he says, oh, I was trying to be so-and-so. And I'm like, who the fuck is this? Who the fuck is that? I don't know, like, which names are for characters. I don't know all these locale names of, like, locations. I can't make out the 4 brothers' names. Like, it's very unforgiving in that way for some audiences to come into. And then you also consider the fact that, I knew Tanuki's shapeshift. Did you know that Tanuki's, like, shapeshift and whatnot beforehand?
No, I knew they were pranksters. Okay. I didn't know that they could shapeshift into anything and anyone that they wanted. So I was like, huh, that's interesting.
And so that adds such an extra layer of confusion, though. In, like, episode 1, it's like, why the fuck does Yasaburo go around as a human girl? Like, we're just meeting this character, and he's not even in his, like, standard appearance. And then, like you said, when we meet Yaichiro, and I think it makes total sense you could think that he's a Tengu, because he's wearing all black and he has, like, a very pointy nature.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard to keep up with at first. Like, genuinely so confusing and so unfriendly about really explaining any of its whimsy. And I think that from the beginning of this show, I just felt very estranged from everything. Like, it did not want me to connect. I just always felt this sense of disconnect because so many things didn't make sense or I didn't have the backing knowledge for them.
Yeah.
And that was difficult. Like I had to, this was a show, which this isn't bad, I think, but it was a show that I had to pay full attention to make heads or tails of. Like I could not go play a gacha game. I could not fucking go talk to Get while it was happening. Like I just had to try and piece together a puzzle. In every episode, I will say, especially in the first half, I think for me, this is a weird case for me. This show, the first half was very estranged, very just like, I have no idea what's going on, but I'm like here witnessing it. I really like the second half a lot. I think that the second half of this show is why I came out liking it a lot more. Like at first, I was really like, oh shit, I picked a bad show. Like I would have like maybe dropped this on episode 3 just because it's so, to me, again, it distanced me.
Yeah.
And I like to connect with anime, whether that's through writing or atmosphere or characters. But everything was just so bonkers and unexplained at first.
The first half of it didn't really get into the meat and potatoes as to the family, like the family dynamics and like where they're at with loss with their father. Like the first half is just like, oh, well, friggin' here's the fire ceremony. We're having, here's our cousins, and the cousins are,
oh my god,
so fucking great. I have thoughts about their extended family, but I mean, I guess like it was interesting. I went into this and I was like, okay, does this have a dub? Because maybe I will just kind of like throw it on. Because for another show we're going to be reviewing down the line, I watched the dub for that, and let me tell you, it didn't make it any easier of a watch to make it go through. I think maybe in your case, this may have been better handled if it had a dub, so you're like, I must hone in on the subs to see what's going on. Maybe it would have been a little bit easier to digest for you. Again, going back to that whole the pacing of the original material, because it is from Tatami Galaxy / Night is Short, and you know how those go. They go a mile a minute. Maybe, and in this case, this was going a mile a minute until it basically hit like, yo, let's talk about our feelings.
For real, though. And, I was thinking about it, too, because I was also aware that it's by the author of those other works. I have only seen, like, one episode of Tatami Galaxy, but that does give you an impression of it. Yeah. And I love Night a Short Walk On Girl, and I was like, why is this one so much more dense, like, distant to me? And I think it's because, at least in those other two works, I had a bit more of a grounded sense of the story, because Tatami Galaxy is basically about growing up, and basically you're in that transitional period of being in college and becoming an adult and trying to find out what your purpose in life is. Night a Short Walk On Girl is about one night, and again, you have that same kind of college adolescent age. It's people getting drunk and basically making their observations on life. In this setting that I get, it's a night and people are going to get drunk and this guy's chasing this girl. Like, I got that. But I was lost here. I was just like, other than the fact that, I understood, okay, and Yasaburo explains this in the beginning of the show, that he says, Kyoto is made up of this eclectic balance of Tanuki, Tengu, and humans. So it is a weird, interesting balance of these different factions that basically make up the culture of Kyoto. And Yasaburo is very much in the middle of all of that because he likes to imitate humans and he is fascinated by Tengu, so he is close to them. He is like the middleman of all of this culture going around. But at the same time, at first it was just really hard to tell what was going on.
It's just misadventures of Yasaburo just hanging out with Professor Akadama. And just like, oh, I have this crush on this Ben 10 girl. Oh, she's a mysterious lady. And then it's just like, oh, hi, family. And I'm like, okay. It also, again, going back to what I said earlier, it always came off to me as the world was like, you only had the sense that there was only so many Tengu and so many Tanukis, where it made it seem like Kyoto was a melting pot of all these cultures, and it's just like,
yes,
we only really see a handful of people, I guess, but also at the same time, I never got the feeling that the world was fully lived in, weirdly enough, but that's neither here nor there, I guess.
That's an interesting point, though. I think that's very fascinating. It wasn't that I didn't necessarily feel like it was lived in, but I do agree with you that it almost seemed like the Tengu were dying out.
Yeah.
Just looking at the state of things with Professor Akadama. But then you also look at his backdrop and considering it's that his wings broke, I think. So he was essentially on his own. And we heard about that other faction of Tengu, the Kurama Tengu, who lived somewhere else. And I think the other thing that started to help ground me with some stuff, like with the Kurama Tengu versus like Professor Akadama, with the Ebisugawa Tanuki, and our family, the Shimogami Tanuki, is I got a sense of kind of factions of these groups. Like, unlike, basically in a human sense, it was almost like they were gangs, like fighting for turf wars in a lot of cases. And that also helped me a little bit with it. And then just like, I'm going to be honest, actually, a lot of my frustration and confusion, especially in the first half, it all centers around one character. And it all centers around motherfucking Ben 10, who we can get into characters.
Yeah.
But before that, we'll cover, I think I have a couple more story plots, maybe. Let me see. I actually went back to taking notes for this show.
That's that's actually pretty cool, because I feel as though I came up with my notes in the 30 minutes before sitting down to record, and I'm like, because I talked to Cass about this, I'm like, I have similar thoughts, because it all kind of distills to the Friday Fellows is my qualms, the character that Yasuburo kind of befriends, I forgot the fuck's name, and
the professor,
that guy, that guy, I don't,
the other professor,
and their ears. What's up with the ears? I have this written down. Ears on like 3 question marks. I'm like, what?
Oh, I'll have to show you my notes. I sent a screen cap to Cassie of my character notes.
Oh, God.
So yeah, I mentioned most of it. I said I couldn't really emotionally engage because I think that the way that they just drop you into this really deep world and there are references that I didn't understand led to me feeling distance. This is a rare instance of a show where I enjoy the second half a lot more than the first half. And that's actually a lot of what separates this show from me from Kyosogiga, because I feel like around episode 10 of this show, I knew what the final upcoming arc was. We just revealed a lot of depth towards these mysteries that have been building throughout the series, and I was starting to get invested in the characters. Episode 10 of Kyosogiga is when that guy just drops a fucking info dump for 30 minutes while walking in a circle.
Let's go.
And I was, like, more mad than ever. So I do appreciate that this show kind of does a final arc that starts to tie things together. And I wasn't expecting that, and I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, I can get that.
I will say, even in the earlier half, I think one thing that really did keep me going is that while I didn't always understand the context of it, I did think the scenes of, like, Tanuki nonsense, like, in that kind of whimsy was really fun.
Yeah.
I loved when they're on, like, the floating barge during the fire festival, and they're just, like, having this fight, and they're, like, scouring the sky, and they're just looking at it. And I was like, this is neat. I like this.
They're just drinking, being merry. It's fun, and that's the fun thing that I actually didn't expect. I, like, intended to, like, kind of take it slow with the show, and in one night I wound up watching like 4 episodes. So I was like, all right, I'm able to kind of understand that this is Yasuburo's story. He's the protagonist of his own story. His brothers are just kind of there. I'll get their names eventually. That's like, you just kind of accept the chaos as it is. And then it's just like, they got like this little floating house thing that's powered by literal booze. And Professor Akadama's like, don't waste my booze. Why are you assholes wasting my booze?
He wanted the wine for himself.
Yeah,
oh, it was so good.
Yeah.
I definitely do agree with you that, in those moments where I could kind of just be like, all right, this is Yasuburo, we're just witnessing this. that was when I could enjoy it more. And I also agree with you. I would have liked the story more if it focused more on the state of the Tanuki and specifically the Shimogamo family, because those were some of my favorite aspects. I didn't like how much it leaned into the Friday Fellows and Ben 10, because I just could not make a lot of heads or tails for them, and they're just really frustrating on an ideological level.
I don't know if
they really.
I don't know if it's spoilers to talk about our gripes with them, because
spoilers. I think we should do it in spoilers.
Yeah. Just woof.
But yeah, there's an episode where Yasaburo just hangs out with them, and I was just like,
so nonchalant. So nonchalant.
I was frustrated by that. Oh, and the other thing I did want to mention, though, that I found fun, because I've seen Walk On Girl and know a little bit about Tatami Galaxy, I love the fact that this show, just like the author's other works, mentions sophistry, Denkibran, the alcohol, and Kyoto, because that is all of that is in his other works, and I was just like, that's cute.
Nice.
I love the fact that it was fucking Denkibran, because I just thought of Walk On Girl every time. So yeah, and I guess the author just really loves Kyoto, because I remember Paul saying that so many scenes in Walk On Girl were just textbook Kyoto, when you walk out in Kyoto on a Friday night, that's what you would see.
Party City, yeah.
And then if you do think about how traditional Kyoto is as the capital, that makes sense that there is this sort of presence of the supernatural beings and humans. It all just makes me interested in Kyoto more. So I do appreciate that neat little cultural aspect, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, it's like a supernatural
slice of life.
Yeah, how the fuck would you categorize this?
I mean, supernatural slice of life with family drama.
Yeah, like a light philosophical piece. Yeah. And then family story behind it. I think so too. All right. Let's go on into characters. Because we've kind of been skirting around it, I think we should talk about Yasaburo first.
Okay.
Because he is technically the character that we see the story through his eyes. He is the main character, all things established. And what did you think of having him as a protagonist?
I thought he was fun. He's very whimsical. He's basically self-described as the idiot. Fun fact, I actually looked at the voice actors, or rather, him as the only character. I should have looked at the other actors too, but I'm like, he's voiced by the Japanese voice actor Reagan. That makes a lot of sense.
Takahiro Sakurai.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah, he's a super well-known voice actor. I recognized him immediately, and I think that was also part of the reason that I instantly was like, okay, I do like Yasaburo. And I do think I would have dropped off of this show even harder if I didn't enjoy him as much as I do as a protagonist. Yeah. But I think like you said, he's very fun. For better or for worse, I do find it really interesting that in a story where we have all these different types of characters, you have someone who's almost just has an anthropological interest in the way that people work.
Oh, yeah.
He is kind of this neutral force, but then observes the way that other people live and other people think. And he's just kind of there and curious about it and kind of learns. And I like that for the most part. I think he makes some dumb choices, but I do like that aspect of him. And I just think he was fun to follow. And he never really struck me as a bad person. I do think at the end of the day, he cares a lot about his family. I think out of all of his brothers, is the most transient. So he's always on the move. He's always somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
But you see him going back to check on his little brother if he needs to support him. He'll say hi to his brother who lives in a well, who is a frog, who we will talk about later. And he always checks back in with Professor Akadama, even though he can be really frustrating.
He's a crotchety old man. He just wants Ben 10 to be around him.
Can we just talk about actually Professor Akadama for a second
Okay.
too, because I wrote in my notes, like word for word, I just said, he is truly like a pathetic old man, and I kind of am endeared to him for it because he's just such a textbook, like I could see a man like him in a senior center, you know?
Yeah.
Like, or to be like an old grandpa or an old uncle, like for his flaws and for how funny he is. And I actually did enjoy his character a lot, even though he's a lecher and he drinks a lot and he's crotchety, but like
I like it's funny too because like he's kind of comes off as the back in my day, these kids don't know what it's all about, but and they don't really go into it as to why he's obsessed, but I don't really like the fact that he's all about Ben 10. I think it leans into that textbook pervy sage, old man Master Roshi archetype where it's just like, oh, I need a nice young woman to be around me to take care of me. And that scene with Yasaburo where he shifts into Ben 10, and I'm just like, oh, okay, that's just kind of weird. But then he acts soon when they invite him out to the fire festival, and he's like, I don't know, maybe I may show up. And then he just walks over to the house, and he's just like, oh, I was in the neighborhood. And Yasuro's like, fucking just, we have booze.
He fucking like walks,
you old fart, just fucking come
halfway. He walks halfway, and then he sits there, and they're like, why isn't he moving? And then Yasaburo has to go out and be like, oh, Sensei, what are you doing here? And then you're right, he's like, I was just here. I figured I'd just take a walk. And then they're like, come on.
I needed a rest. My back was thrown out. Oh, my back. Back, and like even towards the back half of the show, he's like, "You're not involving me in any of these discussions or events. I want to be consulted too." As he's angry the entire time.
Yep. Oh God. Yeah. You know, it's the whole thing with him. Honestly, just like it's not even him that I'm so frustrated with Ben 10. I just have a really big issue with how Ben 10 is written as this character that literally every person
pines for her.
Loves. Excuse me. Every man loves her, and I hate that. I hate that in any anime, like where it's just the untouchable woman that everybody loves.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I hated that. And then also like, again, I don't think it's really in this show's nature to do, like, a shit ton of backstory for things that they like to be whimsical, but, like, I do wish that we could get more about the background of the sensei's past with Ben 10, because, okay, she was a human, and he just thought she was cute, so he kidnapped her, and then she...
away.
Yeah, bye! Like, and then even in the early episodes with Cassie, like, we were trying to figure it out. Like, Cassie was like, I don't know if she's a human or, like, a Tengu or what the hell is she? And I was like...
In episode 1, I was like, she's gotta be Tengu. She's gotta be a Tengu because she has the ability to fly. And apparently it's like, nah. He just taught her the Tengu ability. So I'm like, Tengu can pass on magic to humans? What? That doesn't really make sense.
So that's...
okay.
Yeah, that's a whole nother, like, universe thing, is it's like, well, in that case, like, can Tanuki, teach humans how to shapeshift? Like, how does this work? And, yeah, it's like, how the hell did he... Basically, I saw it as, like, okay, she's a human girl that basically went under the teaching of Professor Akadama, and then she learned some Tengu abilities. But there's just, like, not enough there, and I don't know, like... how their relationship used to be. Maybe she was very kind to him. There's that flashback scene where Yasaburo met her for the first time and like first saw her flying, and she seemed close to him. And I'm like, well, how did they, split off? Like, we know that eventually at some point Ben 10 joined the Friday Fellows, and then never really talked to Sensei again, but I'm like, why is he not hurt by this? And like,
can I just say, every time we say Ben 10, and the show said Ben 10, I just thought of the cartoon character Ben 10 from Cartoon Network. Why did she get the name Ben 10? She has a human name. Does she need an alias? What does she need an alias for? Why does she cry at the well? We don't know. She's mysterious.
That's the biggest thing, yeah. So we already kind of did it, but we're getting more into Ben 10. And Ben 10, I've heard this from other people too, though. Like, not a lot of people like Ben 10. Like, most people that I have seen just on forums and stuff say that one of their issues of this show is usually Ben 10. I'm gonna guess that she was named Ben 10 because I'm assuming if she's taking on this sort of, like, new role as a Tengu, she needed to have a new name. That just seems very Japanese to me.
Okay.
Like, yeah, that just seems like part of the culture, and maybe there is more aspects to that I'm not sure of. And then, like, okay, we'll talk about it a little more, but a lot of what I pieced together about her past, with being kidnapped and then being close to Akadama sensei, and then there's a schism, is from all of those images that I see in the ending credits. I don't know if you watch the ending credits every time, but it seems like it's doing some sort of supplemental storytelling about Ben 10's development.
I didn't.
Yeah,
I watched it like once or a few times, but I didn't really pay that close attention. I like the song, but
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
So it starts with, like, very young Ben 10 or Suzuki Satomi because she is following the sensei, and she's, like, on the street, but she's in her school uniform. And then the next shot is, like, when she's in the outfit when she learned to fly in the spring. And then they're, like, sitting in Kyoto, and she has her hair pulled back in that ponytail where, like, she looks a bit older. And each shot she's, like, getting farther and farther away from sensei and, like, flying off on her own. And I'm like, okay, this to me is some sort of hinting at what's gone on with her. But again, the show just
doesn't really.
The show does not explain Ben 10.
Nah.
Yeah. And a lot of, so I guess we said it in the synopsis, but, like, the main thing that I have with Ben 10 is we know from the beginning that Ben 10 in some way is instrumental in the death of Yasaburo's father, in, like, getting him eaten. And in fact, she was one of the people that ate the father in a hot pot. So I just, like, and she never lets that fact go. She alludes so many times to Yasaburo. She's just like, be careful, I will eat you. And like no matter what she does that's, like, that might be fascinating or attractive or sometimes even helpful, I'm like, at the same time, you ate their father. And I'm just like, I can't let go of that at all. Like, she's so powerful, but we, like, don't know what, I do think that a degree of why she cries is because she has never had a goal or identity. Like, instantly, it seemed like she was a lonely human girl. Then she got kidnapped and just became, you know, whatever this Tengu wanted for her.
Yeah. And
then she realized she could get power by joining the Friday Fellows, but I feel like she's never had a chance to really exist for herself.
Yeah.
Which is part of it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm just like, I like the Shimogamo family. And at this point, you are kind of standing as an antagonist. And so for that reason, I, like, could never really enjoy her character.
I could never wrap my head around the fixation on her by everyone. Actually, rather, let me rephrase. The Friday Fellows fixation on her, Akadama's fixation on her, Yasuburo's fixation. Yeah. Like, even the family is like, yo, dog, you need to, like, back off. She's going to kill you. And he's like, oh, it's all good. It's all good. We're best friends. She's really pretty though, guys. Have you seen her hair? It's so silky smooth. Yeah. And I'm like, no. Well, and she's crazy.
It's like, I get it. I get in the past why he kind of fell for her. Again, that flashback where he sees her flying, and she was still calling herself by her human name back then. She was like, I'm just Suzuki Saotomi. And she seemed kind, but they also make this point so many times that, like, whatever's happened to her, she's changed now. She is not the same. She is driven by just kind of greed and playfulness and mischievousness, and, like, she's dangerous. And yeah, I didn't at the beginning, and now at the end, I don't want her and Yasaburo to get together. Like, I would never want that, because I think it's a toxic relationship. So yeah, no romance card for me on this show.
I was about to say, what about the other That's also very problematic.
Okay.
That's also very problematic. I don't know if that's...
Well, ooh, now I'm curious what you were talking about. But let me just... Are you talking about Yasaburo's ex-fiancé?
Yeah,
Is that
that's
it?
that's a problem.
Well, you know what's interesting is that at first I was like, this dynamic is interesting. I don't know. Basically, I feel like if anything, it is one-sided. So we're set to, all we really know from the story is that basically the rival Tanuki faction, the Ebisugawas, who are like their cousins, basically.
Yeah.
It's two shitty twin brothers
Ginkaku
and their father.
Kinkaku, baby.
Yep. And then there is also, we hear about, they have a little sister named Kaisei. But she is always shrouded in the shadows. You don't see her. She's always shape-shifting into something. So we only know about her, and we know pretty close, like right off the bat, that she kind of isolates herself. She also seems to want to help the Shimogamo family. Like, she's always doing something to help. She helped hide their mother because their mother is, like, afraid of thunderstorms.
Yeah.
And she has been, like, a ladder when Yasaburo needed one to leave. And we'd hear her talking while she's shape-shifting. So, like, we knew a little bit about her. But she is always, like, quiet and keeps to herself. She was engaged to Yasaburo, like, before they even met, I think.
Yeah, and that's where I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know why. That's your cousin. That's weird.
I think that's just a part. Like, normally I think that stuff irks me, but I do realize that it's also Japanese culture. It's like it goes back to very traditional culture from lore, and the fact that they're yokai as well. The cousin thing doesn't really bother me that much with them. But then basically, I was under some assumption for like most of the show that I thought Kaisei might have feelings for Yasaburo, but by the end, I'm not actually sure. I'm still not sure how she feels about him. I think that Yasaburo doesn't have a crush on her, but he is kind of like, he just doesn't really get her. I think he's just like, I don't understand you.
He's like, oh, thanks. Hello, cousin. How are you?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, baka.
Yeah. But she is a little sweet girl, and I love her. She is my icon because I think that she was my favorite character, just because from the beginning, I like wanted to know more about her. Yeah. You know, Ben 10 is a mysterious character, but fuck Ben 10. But like Kaisei, I was like, yes, I want to learn more about Kaisei. She interests me. And she's a cutie patootie, and she's kind of a tsundere, but she's not like a mean tsundere. She's just kind of like, I think honestly from everybody, she kind of tries to distance herself, and we learn a bit why towards the end. Yeah. And so I love Kaisei. She is a very good girl. And there is another, there's more about her character that I will get into spoilers. But yes, Kaisei is a good girl. And I think it would be, did you have other thoughts on Kaisei before I go on?
No, not really. I think you covered the majority of it, considering we don't really, she doesn't really reveal herself until like the back half of the show, where a lot of the meat and potatoes of it, the family dynamics and drama actually come to a head, so.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So she is basically the one shining light in a really shitty part of the family.
Oh, yeah. That's putting it mildly.
Oh my god.
Fucking.
Because we're there. Yeah. Kinkaku and Ginkaku, who at first I was like, okay, you're there to be the, like, antagonist.
The fucking
like,
stooges.
Just textbook shitty stooges. Yeah. These stupid twins. And I thought it was weird at first, but I really like how the protection of their butts became like an ongoing joke in the show. To the point where they wore like iron diapers or something.
They're very protective. They don't want cold butts after like being dipped in cold water. Maybe they're supposed to be cartoony, like a Bulk and Skull Power Rangers sort of thing. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm the smart one. Yeah, boss, what you said. Yeah, you get him. You got him. And I'm like, oh, you're not clever. You're not smart. You.
Yeah, they are pathetic. And I think they are supposed to be. And you know what's actually funny? It's funny you say you thought of those characters because especially because of their naming conventions in Kinkaku and Ginkaku, they actually reminded me a lot of Kinro and Ginro from Dr. Stone.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Where, like, they're just the gold and silver siblings, and they often are a source of, like, comedic, like, comedy and just
Listen. Ginro is a shitlord in Dr. Stone, but I'd infinitely take him over Ginkaku in Eccentric Family.
Oh, no, of course. I'm not saying I like them. I'm just saying I think they do serve a similar purpose.
They really do. They are dumb muscle in Dr. Stone, and they are dumb obstacles in Eccentric Family.
Yep. And they and you know what else I actually thought was really funny? So remember, they are Tanuki. They are twins. And one of them says all of the phrases, and one of them echoes. Do you know who else does that? A certain Timmy and Tommy from Nook's Cranny in Animal Crossing.
No.
Because...
No. Are you saying there's a connection?
I don't know if there is. Maybe there is. Like, maybe that's also another weird cultural thing. Because, like, how funny is it that ties together? Like, even the speech patterns being exactly the same. Like, I just... That was a funny thing that crossed my mind when I watched this show.
You want to know another fun, weird, like, character tidbit that I found out literally in, like, episode 11 or 12 of the show was, when they're in their Tanuki forms, each sibling has, like, a different symbol. Like, the four brothers have the card suites on their chests. I was like, wait. Yaichiro has, like, the spade. And then I was like, oh, fuck, Yashiro has the heart. And then fucking Yasuburo's the diamond. And then I was like, oh, so the fucking Yaijiro, the frog, he's a club. And I was like, okay, so what are Kinkaku and Ginkaku? I'm like, well, one's a triangle and the other one's a reverse triangle, I think. I couldn't really tell what their symbol was, but I was like, that's also pretty cool character, like...
That is so cool. I never caught that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's weird symbolism or whatever, but I was like, you can see it in the opening when they all, like, do their character portraits and whatnot.
That is so fucking cool. Okay, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
I had no idea. So see, when we point out those little things like that we do catch, I do feel like there's a lot of really cool, like, writing and depth to a lot of the story. It's just that I do think that it's probably a lot of stuff that we don't have the full knowledge to really understand.
Yeah.
So it's just like, that's where the show, like, kind of blows my mind a little bit. But to go back on characters, I like the Shimogamo brothers a lot as a unit. I like how they all have different characteristics.
Yes.
That all kind of balance out. I love that, let me go back to their names, thank you. Yaichiro, the oldest brother, is the one that's very, like, uptight and responsible, and because he's the oldest, he wants to preserve the image of his father.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Yajiro, who to me is very, like, textbook middle child. He doesn't really have a lot of aims on his own, and he doesn't think that he can live up to his older brother. So he kind of just has that middle child, like, I'm going to be alone and keep to myself.
He's very fun. Actually, I think he's the second brother. Yasuburo's the third.
Yes.
So
yes. Well, he is a middle brother to some degree, but yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting too because Yasuburo actually makes a comment about it. Like they are the four aspects that make up their father. As you said,
I love that line.
As you said, Yaichiro's responsibility. Yaijiro is easygoing nature. Yasuburo's idiocy. And, like, just, like, full-heartedness, and then Yaishiro is just, like, shyness.
Innocence, I think?
Yeah. Naivety, essentially. So, it's like, that's actually really cool that the four brothers make up the whole.
Yeah, and then they say the thing that connected them together is, like, the love of their mother. That was probably my favorite line in the entire show.
Yeah.
Like, that was just really good, and that really, again, nails the strength of, like, their family. So I like that a lot. Since we did bring up Yajiro, because I do think that while I like all the brothers, I do think Yashiro and Yaichiro are kind of more one note than Yasaburo and Yajiro. And I know that you really like Yajiro, so let's dive a little bit into why you liked his character.
Well, what can I say? If you basically wanted to live an easygoing lifestyle, why not turn yourself into a frog and literally forget how to shapeshift into anything else? And just chill in the well, man. Just kind of relax and just give sage-like advice to random passerbys. That is his introduction and his kind of like one-note nature, I would say.
Yeah.
There's a lot more that goes into him. I would say, without going too deep into it, he's the sibling that feels the most responsible and guilt. I should say he's most affected by the loss of their father. Basically you see a lot of the effects of the loss with him most of all. There was a scene where he's literally just gets kicked into a river and he just lazily just drifts his body into the river, and I'm like, wow, that's Mondo depression. That's actually pretty well done.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was about to just say, like, there's really not much more I can say without kind of, like, spoiling the character-centric episode that focuses on him. He cries. It was sad.
He does. Like I said, one of my biggest issues with this show is that I couldn't connect to it emotionally. I do think that at the end of the day, the payoff for Yajiro's character and his character arc was really good. There was such a good sense of pathos, basically emotional payoff for what he went through. And the conclusion to his arc was like the one moment in the show where I kind of got close to tearing up. I didn't cry, but like I was feeling it. I was like, oh,
baby boy.
Yeah, like, big hats off to Frog Bro, because, like, when I first saw him, I was just like, why the fuck is he a frog? Like, what's gonna happen? I thought he was gonna be, like, the one sibling in Kyoso Giga that I just didn't really give a shit about, and he ended up being probably my, like, the most compelling sibling out of the four. So, good stuff there. We find out why he's a frog, which is also great. That's more than we could say for Ben 10. Hats off to him. I love him very much. And his voice actor also did a great job of, like, characterizing that sort of melancholy and, like,
listlessness, wisdom
and calmness. Yeah, listlessness.
Did you catch the actor's name? Because I did not.
I will look into it. You know, he sounded talented, but I didn't recognize him. He is Yoshino Hiroyuki. Who is in a lot of stuff, but I don't see a lot of main characters. Oh shit, until I found out he's the main guy from Bakano. He is in Blood Plus. He does a lot of supporting characters.
He's Iwaizumi Hajime in Haikyuu.
Oh shit, he's Iwa. Okay, that's pretty cool.
There you go.
He's been lead in a lot of shows I haven't watched, but yeah, he did a great job here, so hats off to him.
Nice.
All right, yeah. So I like the brothers. I like the mother a lot. She's funny. She was like very campy in the beginning, where she just like for some reason acted like she was in a play all the time. She's very dramatic and like hung out at restaurants and stuff. But I think she was just a very good like textbook mother character to her boys. Yeah, and I think that's about it on what I do have to say for characters, unless there was anything else you wanted. Okay.
No, I basically covered it all. I just, again, going back to, like, family dynamics, I like just the four brothers. They have their quirks, and they all make up, like, the aspects of their father. And just them hanging out with the crotchety old man, Professor Akadama. You know how it is. Just another day in the life.
Yes. So to go into production, we did get into this a little bit. And then do you have a credit corner
yes.
at all? Yes. Okay. Then actually, let's go right on into that. Craig's Credit Corner.
The original novel, as I said before, was penned by Tomihiko Morimi. Again, Tatami Galaxy Night, A Short Walk On Girl, Penguin Highway, The director for this production is Masayuki Yoshihara. This is really his first standalone directorial debut. He did the first and the second season. A lot of the staff came back to work on this for the second season, which came out like 3 or 4 years after the fact. He hasn't really done a lot outside of like key animations and in-betweens, but he helped, he was the assistant director on Eden of the East and its 2 movies. The writer, the series composition was written by Sotoharu Suga, did the series composition for One Week Friends. And the music is Yoshiaki Fujisawa. We've talked about this composer before. Performed a lot of the scores for Love Live Sunshine, Revue Starlight, Land of Lustrous, and Place Further Than the Universe. I'm just going to say this right now. Saying that, I don't remember a single instrumental track in this entire production. I think it was serviceable, but I even watched this last week as of this recording, and I'm like, I don't remember any of the music in this outside of like the opening and the ending. I don't know about you, but I'm like,
that is fun because I completely disagree.
Really?
I think one of the strongest things about this show is the soundtrack. Before I even like cared about any of the before I even like cared about the characters in the story because I couldn't really get to them, like I thought the soundtrack was awesome because it ranges a really fun blend of like funky modern tunes with the traditional lending of like very traditional instruments and stuff, because again, this goes back to Japanese folklore. So you get a very like eclectic vibe of a modern yokai story. And I think even when I couldn't really relate to the story itself, the soundtrack helped elevate a lot of the emotional moments for me. I love the soundtrack.
Nice. That's good.
So,
well,
yeah, it's just interesting how that works.
Also, I'll be the first to admit it, and I've said it before, I have a memory of a goldfish, so maybe I was just kind of like vibing with the characters or the main brothers, and the background music kind of like was like complimented.
Took a backseat for you.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Well, and that's, again, I think really interesting to show you that this show is eccentric in what might catch someone's eye and what catches someone else's eye. So that's kind of cool, actually.
For sure. But, Cami, I just gotta go back to it, though. I
think I know what you're doing.
I just, the ears, Cami. Like the original character design apparently was like made by the guy that wrote Kakushigoto. So I'm like,
and Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei. It's the same character designer.
And I'm like, what an interesting design. Like, I like the design, the boys, like, but the ears are weird, man.
The ears.
They look like triangles.
I definitely think they're weird, and I totally understood why, like, that was one of Cassie's first things. She's just like, I hate the ears so much. And I get it. I do think they're bizarre. I think because the entire character design was a little bit wonky, a little bit out there, and the story was out there, it didn't bother me too much.
Right.
But I do think they are weird, and if you stare at them too long, that can be a turn off.
They're all pointy. I mean, like, you can recognize them as, well, then again, Ben 10 has pointy ears too. I was about to say, now is a tanuki.
Oh, were you thinking it was
an identifier as a tanuki? Because, like, you can obviously tell, like, when there's a tengu on screen, they have a pointy nose. So I was like, what if a tanuki has a pointy ear? But man,
I do like that.
The conspiracy theory is, I think it's been debunked because Ben 10 also has pointy ears, doesn't she? So.
Yeah, I think the guy just draws weird ears. I'll be completely honest. I do think on a whole, again, I think that the art style for this is unique, but to me, it kind of, again, fits the fact that this is a really, like, just wonky vibe show. Like, it has its own identity, and I think the fact that it has unique art kind of complements that. I can totally understand why the ears are, like, irky, though.
I mean, it is just an interesting, like, as you said, it's weird. I wouldn't say I hated it. It's just more like, well, this is an interesting style. We don't, like, it's kind of like, it's kind of like, this is apples and oranges when I say this, but it's like when you see, like, a sports anime and the boys don't have nipples, and you're like, well, that's kind of an artistic thing, but I mean, maybe maybe that's censoring rather than weird character distinguishing features.
I can make. You just brought up a perfect example, though, that for me I can make as a similarity. Something that I hated in Kuroko no Basuke that I could, like, not unsee is the fucking, like, stripe lines under their chins.
You mean the shadows, right? Like the scratchy lines?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just how that's just how they, like, drew that, right? That's how the original author drew it, so IG tried to emulate that as best as it could. Same with, like, Attack on Titan. They also do harsh, scratchy lines. I don't know if Haikyuu has scratchy shading.
No.
It doesn't?
One of the issues that Geta and I had with Haikyuu in season 1 is when you would see their face through the net, they just, like, blur the net to show you their eyes, and we were like, this is not how vision works, but okay.
It's point of view. They're focusing in. They're dialing in.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, none of these I think are bad art choices, but I get you that sometimes there are just little things that you'll be like, oh, okay, I noticed this. And yeah, it's attentive. Yeah. I will say another thing production-wise that I really loved in this show is I love the backgrounds. I think they are gorgeous. I
like
even just looking at
the sets, right? They're really nice.
Yeah.
I just like the temple that the Shimagamo family lives in, which basically I had to kind of, like, take a step back and pause the episode. I'm like, do they just live in a shrine with like, because they're ostensibly Tanukis are of a raccoon ilk, so they could just live without, like, doors or anything like that, right? They could just transform into a Tanuki and just kind of chill on the ground or whatever. But, like, same with, like, that sequence where Yasuburo is hanging out with Benten, right? On the rooftops. It's really cool. They see the moon. Oh my god,
it's beautiful. Yeah. Like, and then when you're looking at, like, the cityscape during the fire festival and they're going over the town, it's beautiful. Like, hell, just looking at your icon and, like, the little greenery in the well that, like, Yajiro lives in, like, it's so beautiful and deep and really, again, kind of drives in me, oh shit, I really want to go to Kyoto and, like, see the scenery.
Yeah.
So, yeah, huge appreciation there. The set and the background art and how it's painted was so good. I love that as well. And I also think that in some scenes, the color palette mirrors a lot of colors that were used in, like, very old traditional, like, Japanese tapestry illustrations. And I just think that's so cool. It, again, kind of mixes this blend of modern setting Kyoto, but also all the tradition that goes into, like, the culture of it. So I really liked that.
Yeah.
Also, I'd love to know, did you notice the CG much in this show?
No. When was CG used? Was it during one sequence dealing with the dad?
There were a couple times, I think. So there was the again, the fire festival when, like, the ship that the Ebisugawas had and the floating thing, and they were fighting. And then I think it was also CG at one point. One of the Ebisugawa brothers is, like, a building, and his face is, like, floating in the wall, like, the paper wall.
Okay, yeah. I recognize
and
that.
And then also, and then also I think in a scene with a railway train, there was a lot of CG there. But what I would say is that I honestly thought the CG was really implemented well. Especially if you look back, it's like 2013. I think they did a really good job. And it's also not unfamiliar for PA works. When John and I reviewed Tenro Sirius the Jaeger, which had a lot of, like, trains and cars and fighting, we talked about how good the CG was. Like, somehow I just think that PA works is really good at making CG look a lot less intrusive. Yeah. Maybe it's something to do with, like, the way that they light it, or I don't know. But they're good with CG, and I thought the CG was pretty good here.
I was about to say, because I didn't honestly recognize it. I thought that train sequence was honestly hand-drawn at points, and I'm like, I'd have to actually go back and like look at it in a second viewing, because it pays dividends to what you said. PA works, and they even made an anime about an episode arc
Yes.
dealing with the guys as kind of in Shirobaka that was like, I don't like I want this hand drawn. I want this hand drawn. And they're like, but it can save you rendering time. And CG can also look cool with explosions. And the guy in Shirobaka was like, oh yes, CG is cool. It's meta contextual.
Yes.
It's pretty cool. So good on PA Works for actually making it like not look like clip art, right? I mean, CG has come a long way. And it's cool to know that even back in like early 2010s, they were able to pull it off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think, I guess there is more we can go into.
Okay.
I don't know if we need to cast drop everybody, but I did think the voice acting overall was really strong.
Yes.
What about you?
I believe so as well. Mm-hmm. Like I said, much akin to Tatami and Night of Short, I would have liked to see this got a dub. This is licensed by NIS America, so maybe it's a sales thing. It was released in like 2014, 2015, but only sub only. But I like the Japanese cast. Obviously, as we said before, it's just like Reagan as our lead was his voice actor, right? Is like gets you in. He's entertaining. He's energetic. All the energy in this production is really like it's all aces, right? And you're along for the ride. Yeah. I just think also options. Maybe you can kind of absorb and like kind of take in the scenery and Kyoto with a Japanese dub, possibly, or English dub.
I definitely agree with you. I would love to see this get a dub. I think that, and I don't think it'd be hard to dub is like the other thing.
Yeah.
So again, maybe like some of the localizations again with like all of the references, but they could always just make the choice to be lazy and just include the references as is. Like, you know, so I agree. I would love to see it as a dub just to get a chance to soak in some more of the story and feel a bit less like frazzled. I don't know if that'll ever happen though, because I think both seasons already got their physical release. So who knows?
I think the ship has sailed on that one.
Okay, we talked about it a little bit in the beginning, but we got to talk about the openings and endings for the show. Please tell me your thoughts on the opening, Craig.
It's a good song. I like it a lot. It has a lot of energy. I like I even watched it just before coming in here. I like it. I think it's a little stiff animation wise though. I like the shots of the Tanukis and like the character portraits, but then it kind of comes off as a little clip arty, where it's just a lot of just like shots of Yasaburo, and then he's just like a lot of backgrounds are flashing, and then he's striking a pose, and then he's striking another pose, and then you see silhouettes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think this is maybe a stylistic choice.
I think so.
You also have a clip art of a Tanuki like literally keyframed,
like
just flying
he's
up,
just like boing boing boing,
up the phrase "blood of fool," and I'm like, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah, I get what you mean, and it is interesting to see it that way, because I do think beyond laziness, it was a stylistic choice, but I could see it feeling a little bit stiff. And I think that the only thing that saves it from being too stiff is just the frenetic, like, changing of the backgrounds and the flipping and stuff, because that does go along in sync to the song. I first heard the song, and my first reaction was like, oh god, I don't like this, because I think that the vocalist of the band Milktub just has a very...
Milktub.
I know, right? He just has a very, what I would call, like, indie or grunge voice. Like, it's very stylized.
I can get that.
But to me, it's almost stylized in a way that's, like, intentionally not supposed to sound, like, very mainstream appealing to your ears. You know, he's just very gruff. And sometimes it sounds like he flatlines notes on purpose, like, nah, no, like, just because he's having fun.
It's funny, too, because, like, if you think about it, the setting is paying, like, honor and, like, tribute to, like, classic Kyoto and, like, the time periods and what have you, and then, like, bringing it in a contemporary modern setting, right? And you have this bombastic opening with this guy just kind of like, as you said, just being like in this indie-esque band, just kind of like belting it out. Compare that to like, say, like a Dororo opening, a property that's like of a time period in like classic Japan, although, you know, it deals with demons and bullshit. But you got this spit and fire opening where the guy just yells, "Give me fire!" You're like, I don't know if that's... are we about to, like, party down in the club with Dororo?
Yeah.
Shit. So it's interesting. I didn't think that the opening was indie, but I like Milktub. Just Milktub.
Milktub, right? And so, I mean...
The font, even in the opening, is, like, motion graphic-y. Like, even the Japanese, like, production, you know how they do that in every opening where they show, like, the studio and whatnot. It's even just a bold, bombastic lettering, and you're just like, all right, it's smack in your face, let's go.
Again, I think that it's a journey, because I didn't necessarily like the sound of it at first, but the more that I listened to it and watched it, I was just like, this is a perfect opening for this show. Like, it suits it perfectly for all of those reasons that you mentioned in just such small details. And what I will also say is that the song and his voice did grow on me. My favorite part is definitely the chorus. Get was upstairs while I was watching a lot of it, and he, after a couple listens, he's like, okay, this song is a banger. Like, that drop, Omoshiro, like, he loves it. Yeah, like, he really got into it, and so I think that also helped me appreciate it. So it's definitely one that grew on me, and it's fun, and I do like the contrast that it has to the ending, and I've liked the ending since the beginning, because it's by Fana, who we know they did the opening for Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
Oh fuck! I actually didn't recognize that artist. That's awesome.
It's them, and it's so funny because in contrast to that opening, which again is really frazzled and energetic, manic. It's a very like, this one's like a laid back, sort of tranquil, but like kind of emotional song. Yeah, I really liked that. And actually, now that you mentioned just like how chaotic all of the movement, be it stiff, but like how all of the movement and cuts are in the opening, the ending is like 6 still shots, which is kind of crazy. That comparison is really crazy. And it's interesting because I think it shows kind of 2 sides of the show, where it's just like carefree, nutso, fun, and then when it's also kind of reflective and emotional.
Introspective.
And yeah, whoa. I like that. I like that realization. So yeah. Anything else in production, or do you think you're good to go on into ratings?
I think I'm good to go on into ratings.
Okay. The fun part is because I chose this show, that means you get to give your rating first.
Cami, before I give my rating, did we come up with a recommendation? I
have one, yes.
Okay, I thought of that, like, as we were talking about the opening, I'm like, oh shit, we didn't discuss this before the fact.
I'm sorry, yes, I have one.
Okay, cool. I'm like, oh. Now I'm curious, much akin to the audience. I will be surprised at what she gives us. Quick and short to the point. I would say check this show out. I honestly was kind of hesitant as to what I thought about like going into the show, because I was just like, okay, because initially I thought I had to watch it within like a weekend before our production.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. Before our production got like kind of shifted, so I was like, all right, cool. I have a little bit more time to kind of like let this breathe. I would say check it out, because as Cami said previously, it just kind of throws you in, and it's a little chaotic and much akin to Kyosa Giga. It's dealing with family issues. I think the strongest selling point in my mind's eye is the dynamics of the brothers, and the frog boy, Yajiro, is like the one arc in this entire, him and Yasuburo, their arcs are the most complete. Cass actually asked me a few days ago while at work, she asked, would I watch season 2? Do you need to watch season 2 in order to like get this? Does this season leave off in a cliffhanger? I'm like, no. I don't know if I'm gonna get to the second season anytime soon, because I feel fine with it. Again, we're gonna be talking about another show that is ostensibly split up into 2 chunks for review, and I think much akin to that, I don't think I need to get to the second part anytime soon. So check this show out. Your mileage may vary on it. Frog Son is best boy.
Mm-hmm. Damn straight. Just out of curiosity, for the next show that you're talking about,
It's Super Gals.
It's the next show. Yeah, it's Super Gals.
Yeah.
Super Gals. Okay. Nice. So, I went on a weird ass journey with this show, which I guess is
a roller coaster.
The part because yeah, it really is a show where you're along for the ride. First couple episodes, I was regretting the fact that I picked this, and I will say it was a blind pick. The only thing I'd ever really heard about this show is that, from people who, like me, really like Mushishi and really like Natsume's Book of Friends, which are shows that have that superhuman and or supernatural and human dynamic. They were like, oh, well, I also really like The Eccentric Family. You should watch The Eccentric Family. So that is why I've had this show on my radar for a long time, but I had never given it a watch. So I figured, well, we get to choose shows to watch. And while I like picking some of my favorites, I was like, okay, let's do one that I haven't seen. I'm going to try to balance my picks that way. Yeah. So at first I was like, oh shit, this is just a bad blind pick. Like I don't engage with the characters. Like it's just kind of too wonky. The production is nice at least. Like at least I like that. And then I went to like, okay, I kind of get it, but I'm also still a little bit off. And then the second half came around and it all really started like tying in together for me, and I got a little bit of the emotional payoff that I was hoping for, and I came out of the show a lot more pleased than I was going in. Like I said before, and you probably heard me screaming, that there's just a lot about this show that is really tricky to get through, and I definitely think mileage may vary. I've seen people that love this show, and while I wanted to love this show, I don't think I came away loving this show because of the issues that are there for it. But then I've also seen people that really maybe held my opinion throughout that's like, I can't get into this show. I'm going to go ahead and say that at the end of the day, I liked this show. And honestly, I wasn't expecting to. I went about 2/3 of the way through the show pretty set on giving it a check it as well, because I was just like, this is okay. It does little things, but at the end of the day, I think it did give me the stuff that I was hoping hoping to get, just not in a way that I was maybe expecting to get it.
It's just a shame that it kind of felt like it took a while to get to that, right? We meandered, and then we're like, oh, let's get into the meat and potatoes. Let's fucking have a full course meal. And you're like, I'm chewing on my baby carrots. I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready to feel.
Yeah, for real though. I think that around episode 8 for me is where it started to get really good, and then just kind of like kept getting better. So I do wish that certain things had been handled better. I wish we would have just let off of Ben 10, because fuck Ben 10.
No.
I wish that it had focused a lot more on the brothers. I wish that the storytelling was a little bit clearer instead of going for the eclectic, mysterious dialogue all the time. But by the end of it, I really did enjoy myself, and I do think that it's a show that somewhere down the line I would like to rewatch. There are some shows that I like to rewatch when they're good, but I actually think, especially after rewatching Yurikuma Arashi, I actually want to rewatch more shows that I initially found difficult, because I think that there is more that I can gain from them, like a newer appreciation.
Definitely. Me and Zach have been doing some similar things as well when we hang out. We watch filmographies where it's just like initial viewings. You can be like, wow, I was not really feeling that. But if you like take a different approach and different mindset, like a lot of X factors can go into your enjoyment of a product. So that's a very good idea. I like that.
Yeah. So I might go ahead and rewatch this show sometime. While I do think that the first season ends conclusively, I do want to watch season 2. I'm not sure when. Yeah. I'm not desperately like, oh my god, I have to. But I came out enjoying the cast a lot, enjoying the vibe of the show a lot. But yeah, I'd like to see more of them. So at some point, I will go ahead and watch season 2. But I do agree that you don't have to, because this caps itself off well enough, I think. It's really like, watch season 2 if you're still interested in seeing like the characters in the story. So yeah, I'm going to give it a like it. Solid was more than I was expecting to give it, so good on it there. My recommendation is actually, I think it'd be really easy to recommend Kyosogiga for this show, but because I'm trying to recommend things that we haven't done a review on, I'm going to go ahead and recommend a movie that I was not a big fan of, actually, and that's Pom Poko, which is a Studio Ghibli movie, not done by Miyazaki. I have to remember who the director is. However, it is about, it's more of an environmental message, but it does talk about the balance that humans and Tanuki have in society, and focuses on the lives of Tanuki and their really quirky things that they do, and how they are trying to maintain their needs and their lives in society where humans, again, play some sort of threat to them. It definitely leans more into the bizarre craziness. So if you do want like the sentimental family stuff, I don't think you'll get anything from there. But if you do like the Tanuki stuff, if you like more fun, bombastic things, definitely give it a try. It's a very unique movie in Ghibli's library. So if you haven't given it a watch, go check it out.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. And then we are gonna go into a spoiler room of sorts just to ramble. But before we do, if you are going to leave, let me drop you some social links real quick. If you want to catch up with us on Twitter to check out some pictures that hint at what our next reviews will be, and to see when our episodes come out, hit us up at twitter.com/AnnieChatbox. Send us general thoughts at anniechatmail@gmail.com. And if you want to listen to us, check us out on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you want to help us keep the lights on, you can donate to our Patreon at patreon.com/AnnieChatbox. As always, so much love to our patrons, Sarah, CorpsyAnn, Carol, Suki, Paul, TroubleClef, and John. Seriously, you guys help us stay alive. We love you. Please let us know what we can do to make you happy. And if you want more of Craig's dulcet tones, go check out Save Our Progress at soundcloud.com/saveourprogress. Do you have an episode to plug?
Let's see. In most recent times, we did a post-game on Final Fantasy VII Remake where we talked about the game for 3 hours, talking about...
Oh my god.
Dude, we break it down. It's intense. That was a few weeks ago. More recently, we did an episode based on Twitter memes. We also did an episode where we basically talked about what are we doing to keep ourselves sane during the quarantines. So,
that's good to hear. I gotta listen to that one.
Yeah. So, it's always entertaining over there.
Nice. Definitely give them a talk. Sometimes myself and Cassie and Lily and others join in as guest hosts too. So, yeah, check us out. Awesome. So if you are tuning out because you don't want to be spoiled, thank you for joining us for episode 150 of the Annie Chatbox. We're about to slip into our comfy spoiler chairs. So see ya.
Man.
All right.
Man. It's episode 150.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Isn't
that nuts?
We should have really looked at the schedule and been like, man, should we do something special instead of our anime review for 150? I couldn't remember if we had actual plans or not, but... That aside,
I'm gonna be honest with you. We're all fucking busy. I think it would have been hard to come up with something special. We did something special for 100. We can do something special for 200.
Ain't that fucking truth. So, Eccentric Family. Yeah, I actually had to look in to see what episode 8 was. And yeah, that's where the fucking ball drops, is when you figure out that Yaijiro's whole shtick, the reason he's a frog, and he actually fucking was depressed and wanted to literally be in a well outside, away from humanity, and his mother, because he felt like he could not face her, he went drinking with his dad to basically vent his woes to his father, like one does, and then he drank too much, and then his father said, no, you can go home, and then he left him there, and that was his final memory. And basically, he blamed himself. And I'm like, oh, baby boy. Izzy's crying. Yasuburo's crying. Yaichiro's crying. And his mother knew all along the entire time. And I'm like, fuck. Mom always knows. Mom always knows.
Yeah, she said something about, well, I wouldn't be much of a good mother if I, didn't realize that he had been struggling because he's in love with Kaisei, and then that they went out drinking. Like, it's just... and that's when you get that fucking line from Yasaburo that's so good, where he just talks about how each of them inherited their father. Oh, so good.
Yeah, and he talks about goodbyes or something like that, and you just see, like, his father, like, silhouetted in a mist, and he's waving. Oh. I'm like...
Talking about, like, the permanent goodbyes? Fuck, man. Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. So the only other thing that I am interested in, I would have liked to know more about why Yaijiro was in love with Kaisei, because, again, like, we don't see a lot of Kaisei. Like, how do you even know about Kaisei?
Focus up here, like, what the... Yeah, no, like, Yaijiro, maybe. Not Yaijiro, no. But also,
and I want to
know this is just a quick weird eyebrow raise, and this is only just like empowered because I recently watched the latest few episodes of Fruits Basket. But that's an age gap, and I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah, like
Uotani
that's the other thing is
Kurano.
Oh yes, and again, I don't always have the biggest issue with age gaps. It's more that I just didn't see how this worked. It was said interact. And it wasn't seen.
Yeah, they had no scene time at all, and it's like,
Apparently, in passing, we find out that they do talk, like, since he's been a frog. They mentioned that she comes to visit him at the well, like a lot of other people do. And so that, again, piques my interest, but it's never delivered upon. And because I like those two characters so much, I would like to see their dynamic, which is one thing. And also, does Kaisei know that Yajiro loves her? My other question is, I don't know if Kaisei likes Yasaburo, or maybe she does like Yajiro. Like, I don't know. And neither do people on the anime forums, because on every episode, they're like, maybe she likes Yajiro, maybe she likes Yasaburo, maybe she doesn't like either of them. Who knows?
I'm kind of curious if season 2 answers any of this. That's the one. That's like the one pull about this that I kind of want to see season 2 is because on top of the dynamic of the like, what's Kaisei's like relation to Yasaburo or Yaijiro is at the end of the thing, Yaijiro. Oh god, their names are so similar. I had to literally like emphasize it, and it's just gonna be word salad. But basically, the eldest brother is like, all right, I'm gonna. It's a ceremony to become the next Nisei Aemon. What's a Nisei Aemon? Well, basically, it's the guy the Tanuki that unified all the other Tanuki tribes, and also because that my father was one, I must be one too. Because my father turned into a mountain, and that's how Professor Akadama became BFFs with Soichiro. Yeah, and there's that. But also, I was not surprised at all when the fucking uncle was like,
Ebisugawa.
Yeah, Ebisugawa was like, yo, I just gave your father to the Friday Fellows and gave him the drop.
I don't feel like...
that doesn't fucking surprise me at all.
Yeah, it wasn't surprising, but they did do a good job giving that flashback the weight. I think what was sadder is finding out that Kaisei saw the whole thing. That was so sad. Which, did you catch that? Like, did you realize she was there the whole time?
Yeah, just, she was disguised, right? She was the charm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like, that's so sad. And I think that's part of the reason that she hides herself from Yasaburo. And maybe everybody else. We don't really know because we don't see her with a lot of other people. But I think that kind of like Yajiro has this sense of shame and wants to isolate from his family. I think that Kaisei has sort of a similar thing. And in that regard, I almost kind of could ship them because I think that they have been through a lot of similar pain and could like comfort each other. But don't mind me. That's just me projecting.
I mean, it seems valid, right? This and that's the thing like I like about the show. It talks about grief and the shitty aspects of your family and your extended family. Mind you, it's a little extreme when you're ostensibly your father's brother says, well, you were the Nisei Aemon, but I'm going to it's like some fucking bullshit from Fate where like Kirie stabs Rin's dad in the back with a dagger that he gave him. He's like, well, now I'm going to take over. I'm going to I'm going to basically teach your daughter to be better at magic. And I'm like, no, this is weird.
Oh, yeah. I think it's very standard villain story. I think what I am frustrated by is that we still don't know what the fuck Ben 10's thing is.
Nope.
We don't know why Soichiro couldn't hang on to his transformation when she was around.
He's nervous, dog.
And clearly
she's too... he doesn't like humans, but then again, maybe she gave off the air that she was always going to kill him in the first place, and he's like, oh no, my transformation, I've lost it. No, I'm gonna run.
And then she clearly still has that effect, because it was really funny when the screen door opened and then all of the Tanuki saw Ben 10 and they all turned into Tanuki again.
Jesus.
That was so funny. Oh my god. I forgot to mention it, but just all of the fucking nonsense in the last 3 episodes, I laughed so hard. Like, I just thought it was so fucking funny.
The ceremony from the Nisei Aemon was on New Year's, or Christmas time, which was around the same time that the Friday Fellows was right in the next room, wanting a hot pot where they're going to eat the mom. And I'm like, this is some weird, dual plane of actions right here. They are literally right next door. This is, wow.
I loved it.
Chaos.
I thought it was the perfect way to unite the two, like, events, because you see them as these sort of, like, literally, let's just put them in rooms next to each other. And there was such a good shot that I loved so much, where basically we know that the 2 rooms are next to each other, and then, again, I'm doing the same thing with the brothers. The oldest brother, who is Yaichiro, he turns into the tiger form that he takes, and then they show you the scroll in the room where the Friday Fellows are, and it's the reflection of the tiger, and you just hear him growling from the next room. I fucking lost my shit.
I can't. I just fuck.
Oh my god. I thought it was so good.
Can we talk about the Friday Fellows? I know we kind of complained about them in like our talks of the story section, but like I just can't get over how I just want to reemphasize, I just can't get over how nonchalant or lackadaisical that they are. They're just like, oh, it's tradition. Why? Because it's been a tradition to be a part of this organization, we must eat Tanuki's hot pot. And this other professor, which I can't even remember his name, is like, I nursed this Tanuki back to health. I bonded with their dad. I'm going to eat you. And the dad's cool with it. The dad's like, I lived my life. All right, cool. I wasn't even 2 weeks away from retirement. But you know what? I did all I can do for my children. They'll grow up to be healthy. Not scarred at all. But Yasaburo, probably maybe 10 years later, it's like 10, 12, or how many fucking years later, is like, oh, I'm going to befriend the guy that ate my dad. And be totally cool with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it frustrates me, but again, I think that they portray it to be frustrating. Like, it's not ever, like, pushed away. There's a little quiet scene I like with Yasaburo about after the time he spent the night with the Friday Fellows and Ben 10. And he's just like, frog bro, why the fuck do I like the professor guy as a friend? And why the fuck am I crushing on Ben 10? Like, what's wrong with me? But I can't help it. Yeah. And his brother's just like, it's just a manifestation of your idiot blood, bro. Sorry.
It's like a weird scapegoat. It's a weird like scapegoat. I don't know. It just seems way too nonchalant, but I have a feeling that I don't know what season that, and that's again the intrigue of season 2, where I'm like, I don't know if they're going to get into more family dynamics, if the father of the Evasugawa family is going to be like, I'm gonna go scheme again. You haven't seen me. I'll get you next time, Gadget. Sort of mustache twirly villain that he is, but that's like,
oh my god,
that's like the one major kind of like gripe. It's just, you hung out with this bro, and that guy drank booze with your father, and as soon as Ben 10 came in the room, the Tanuki just clammed up, and the professor guy's like, hello, Mr. Tanuki. Are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, no.
It's so... The professor is so bizarre because like that whole conversation he has with Yasaburo, which again I wish had a bit less like annoying writing, because I do feel like they were trying to get to good points, like with what he said about, you know, I love to eat. If I could die and I could be food for a tanuki, like I would like to do that. Like there was a lot of really interesting philosophical stuff in there, but I just can't get past the whole thing of like, I like this main character, I like his brothers, and I'm mad that y'all fuckers like tore his family apart. So like, I almost wish they wouldn't have tried to humanize the Friday Fellows and Ben 10 as much as they did, because it didn't work for me. I didn't get the effect across.
No, not at all.
So yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with you there. I know we've been going back and forth on it, but more hilarity and like good things about just the absolute wackiness of the finale is I love the way that the youngest brother, Yashiro, gets his little chance to shine when he has the Denkibran, and he's just like, Frog Bro, I know what we can do. He gets him drunk and then he's able to transform back into the bus. Oh my god, I loved it so much. And I loved when Yajiro remembered what his father said, and he's just like, you know, do it because it's fun.
Yeah.
I love Yajiro. I have a lot of feelings about him.
What a good boy.
What a good boy, and just what a good, like, redemption for him. And the moment in the show where I teared up was when he was on the phone with his mom. And then his mom is just like, why aren't you talking? Are you hurt? And he just starts crying, and he's like, I'm sorry, Mom, it's been a long time. And I was like, oh my god. My feelings. My feelings.
Fucking, man, what a good mom. Man.
What a good mom. And I do think that the theme of having a family member that estranges themselves from their family and then that sort of drama is something that's very human. That is a thing that happens in like fractured families. So it was a very strong and relatable plot point to bring in. So yeah, just good stuff. Okay. When fucking Professor Akadama just, like, comes in amongst all the bullshit, and you just see him looking so mad.
Just uses his fucking, like, thunder fan, just create a tornado.
You just fucking know he's gonna get so mad. He's like, I'm sick of your shit, and he's just gonna blow the wind.
He just fucking,
and I laughed
again, going
so
back
hard.
to my comment earlier, he's a Sunsun grandpa who just wants to be part of the conversation, but everyone just kind of, like, forgets he's there, and then gets irritated that everyone's talking, and he's just like, y'all are motherfuckers ignore me, y'all motherfuckers are mad, or, like, loud, I'm trying to get my beauty sleep, and then you see Yashiro fucking, like, straddled to his leg, trying to, like, slow his, like, advancement, and he's not even doing shit, and I'm like, oh my god, this is pretty humorous. I like this sequence.
Yeah, it's just so funny, and I love how in these final episodes, whenever things are going down, like especially when Akadama Sensei blows the fan, but even before that, when Yaijiro is the imitation train, and he like runs, and then he like is scared, and you just see all these people in Kyoto, like, what the fuck is happening? It's so funny.
I had a suspension of disbelief in that moment where I was like, that motherfucker could have killed a lot of pedestrians. Also, what's the police security infrastructure for the Kyoto? Are they just like, oh man, if it's like the dark hour, like the Persona, if it's past like midnight, just it's all urban legend. Don't worry about it. It'll solve itself. If you see a train just barreling through, you know to get the fuck out of Dodge.
God, I love that so much. I thought it was so funny, just all the shit, like when the show goes straight up E.T. when he is the train, like goes up to the moon and they're all like, oh fuck, and then they're just like suspended
I can't remember how to transform back. Shit.
And then they like almost fall in the river, but then all of a sudden he pours the wine and then they like rocket blast up. It's just so that's like the straight up chaotic Tanuki nonsense that like it was just so enjoyable once I was able to enjoy it. It was so good.
Yeah. Do you think
that was good.
Do you think he will go back to his home in the well, or do you think he will go back to the temple and become human again?
Oh, that's really hard. I think that he will probably stay in the well, but now I think he has the freedom to visit. He doesn't feel bound to the well more so. So I think that like he will be able to eventually learn to shapeshift again. I hope he will. I like his human form design. It's nice.
Yeah, slick back hair.
And then hopefully like he'll be able to see his family more often now, because it shows that in the end that he's able to like be with his family. So I think that he likes the well and he likes that being his home, but I think that he has the freedom now to be with his family instead of them having to come with him and him living this like shunned life basically. So yeah, he's good stuff. They're good stuff. I think that I am good to go unless you had any other particular qualms.
No, we basically discussed the last arc. There really is no winner for this Nisei Amon shit. No one died. Basically, they kidnapped Yaichiro and the mom. And Yaichiro escaped and they were going to eat the mom. But then in fucking whatever MacGuffin bullshit that the professor of the Friday Fellows was like, I recognize that Tanuki. I'm gonna save her. And I'm like, okay, cool, buddy. You saved the one that you nursed back to health, but you ate another one. Again, it's just weird writing.
I think that my other question, and again, who knows if it'll come up in the second season, is just, is that the, was that whole debacle the end of the Friday Fellows tradition, or will they try to do it again? Is kind of the one thing that I'm not sure of, because it ended in literally such a whirlwind that, like, who fucking knows? And again, I still just don't fucking understand Ben 10.
Will we?
That's about
will
it.
we ever truly understand Ben 10? I mean, she is
Probably
she
not.
is a mysterious lady, and maybe that's why every man that is on screen is so attracted to her, because she's
I guess.
aloof and mysterious. Guys, you can't see it right now, but I slicked back my hair to emphasize I'm aloof. Oh.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. I think that should be the drop for the episode.
God damn it.
Alrighty then. Well, yeah, with that, if you did stick around with us, thank you for sticking around for this really nonsensical and non-ordered spoiler room. That's how episodes with Craig and I tend to go. He just kind of lets me fly off the handle and then brings us back to storylines.
If anything, like I said before, we are the dynamic duo. We it's fun to always just like talk with you. I mean, we did it with Banana Fish. We did it with Blood Blockade.
Oh my god.
We fucking we did it with
Psychopath.
Psychopath was me uncaged, and you're like, yes. And Banana Fish, you were uncaged, and I was like, yes. So we have a back and forth here. We kind of take turns on who is uncaged, and the other one is like riding shotgun to the chaos. So it's we're finding really cool episodes to kind of like talk about chaotic episodes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, our picks have a huge variety, I will say. All right. Well, yeah, this has been episode 150 of the Annie Chatbox. We hope you enjoyed hanging out with us, and stay tuned for a very super episode next time. Bye, y'all.
Bye.